Hello, welcome to the Powerful Foul Sign. We're doing an unscripted, unsolicited, unofficial draft analysis with me, Sai, and Gry.
That's me. We're doing our main league, the final season of Gen 7, SSBL, and I assume that the only people basically watching this are the participants of that league anyway. So we're just going to go through each team one by one, all 16 teams. I will point out where we like the drafts. We're not necessarily going to give a ranking of the teams, but we're just going to say what we like, what we don't like. And of note, this season is open Z for offensive Z moves, and you can only pick one non-status Z captain. So moves like Z Sandstorm, Z Rain Dance, Z Hypnosis are probably the moves you'll see most often. With that out of the way, do we want to start with the first team?
Let's go. Alright, so who do we have here?
Our first team is Quinto, who joined us in season 3, and the Charlotte Honchcrow is one of two Honchcrow teams. Also, of note, this league does take place on the draftleague.nl, so we have a very nice website courtesy of Automatic.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
good.
and we're using this page in particular because it shows the speed stats, so we can examine the speed tiers as well. Which actually is the first thing I want to mention about this team is that they have some very nice speed stats. The Ferrothorn and the Palossand are very slow, but a lot of the rest of the team is between 80 and then there's Mega Arrow down at 150.
He's one
So all this
speedy
stuff in the
boy.
middle can speed tier for that. The only thing is a lot of things that you normally see base 60s, base 70s. Can invest more in bulk because either they're not outspeeding anything or they're investing for a very minimally invested base 85, 90 mon.
And they can run Scarf just if they need that extra speed boost to outspeed something in like hundreds.
I mean, almost every speed Scarfer that you're going to run against this team, no matter what you have, is going to be set up to outspeed Mega Arrow at +1.
Mm-hmm.
Especially considering that there's really only one other Pokemon on this team that will be boosting its speed, which is, of course, that Unburdened Hawlucha. So from there, do we want to take a look at the two cores that we think are very important, along with removal, which I can scroll down and find actually.
Of course. Let's see, what's the fire, water, grass?
So for the Firewater Grass, you can see here the Rotom Wash, which is a very nice defensive mon, and matches very well with the Ferrothorn. Unfortunately, neither of them have very reliable recovery, being Leftovers, Pain Split, or Leech Seed. And as for the corresponding fire type, I don't think Typhlosion is going to be switching into many hit, but sometimes budget fires are what you have to get.
Hey, and out of the budget fires for a 40 pointer, Typhlosion is one of the best.
Typhlosion is fairly good. It's not going to be run as defensively as an Arcanine would be or an Incineroar, but I mean, it does come with Flash Fire, and I mean, Scarf Eruption is nothing to scoff at, but it's not exactly the best.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to move on to Fairy Dragon Steel,
Alright.
then this is where we have something very interesting. In First of all, the Ferrothorn is doing double duty with the steel typing as well. I don't know how I feel about that, but Ferrothorn is a very good mon. For the Dragon slot, we have Hydreigon, which of course also comes with Defog. Actually, a lot of mons on this team get Defog, and only two mons on this team are weak to rocks. So those mons are very well protected. Ooh, maybe Scarf Eruption will actually be doing some work.
Mm-hmm.
However, the important one on this team is the Togekiss,
It's a good
the
wish
Fairy type.
caster.
Exactly. So when we mentioned a lot of these other Pokemon have lackluster recovery, well, that's when Togekiss can show up. So, Sai, is there anything else you'd like to say here about, maybe hazards removal? There was one thing that stands out to me in particular on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a Hawlucha?
Well, you see, a lot of people do draft the Hawluchas to accompany a Koko or a Tapu, but Hawlucha
It's
itself, it has a lot of good sets.
Sky Attack, Power Herb Sky Attack, and Sub Salic or Sub Lychee, I think,
Exactly.
or Citrus Berry. Um, Citrus is probably better because it pops at 50%, but unfortunately, Coco is so, or not Coco, Lucha is so good when it can just come in, activate the berry, get the immediate unburden boost,
Mm-hmm.
and start putting in some work, especially if it can set up an SD after that.
Y-
Without that, it's only decent.
You know
And
what?
for 120 points, that's not quite T1 status, so it's probably fine. It
Yeah.
just seems a little odd with respect to the rest of the team.
You know what Halucha wishes there was in this gen?
A Tapu that got Memento,
Oh no, I mean in this gen. The flying
Flying
gem.
Gem.
Yes. Man.
Poor Lucha.
Yeah.
As
R.I.P.
for the
Lucha.
rest of this draft, it's just a bunch of generally solid, bulky Mons and a dual dark core, interestingly. But you know, you have the Mill Tank, which is a fire and ice resist. You have the Reuniclus, which is the status mon, the Z status mon here. I'm not sure which move that would be for.
Hmm.
I guess we'll see if it's used whatsoever. Status moves generally are not the best Z moves. And
Watch it be Z
uh,
Trick Room.
I don't even know what that does.
Lowers your speed whenever it activates a Trick Room. So not gonna
There's
lie,
also
I do like the Drapion. It's
the
got
Drapion's quite nice because it brings the grounded poison.
and Toxic Spikes.
But the thing is, I'm just briefly looking at. Here are the Pokemon affected by toxic spikes. Hydreigon levitates. Reuniclus Magic Guard if it's running that. Rotom levitates. Ferrothorn's a Steel type. Lucha flying. Togekiss flying. Drapion immune. Miltank gets Heal Bell if it wants to run that. Palossand and Typhlosion are both hit by grounded hazards, and then Mega Arrow is also flying. So, you know, this team is full of defog, but a lot of the Mons aren't even hit by hazards in general.
Yeah.
It's a rather interesting team, but I think Quinto, looking at his overall record right here, shows that he can make this work. Now, just of note, he did post that parts of his team are available for trade if anyone is interested. So maybe Quinto isn't as satisfied with this overall as well. Although Ferrothorn hazard stacking looks pretty nice here when there's other Mons that can set toxic spikes or stealth. It's got the mill tank, the arrow, the
Yeah.
palisand.
Definitely.
So now we're going to move on to the next team.
All right,
And
and the next thing that we have here is the Chicago Beartics with Burrito Bro. Let's see. Ooh, I do like just at a glance, just from first glance, I do like that he has a Bulutran.
Bulutran may sometimes be memed on, but you know, grassy terrain hamper that 4 times weakness to earthquake is can sometimes be very useful. Now, Heatran doesn't normally want to eat an earthquake, but at half damage is the equivalent of running a Shukaberry every turn that grassy terrain is up.
Hmm.
Assuming, of course, that you're facing earthquake.
I mean, when aren't you facing Earthquake if you have a Heatran?
Fair, especially when this player, you know, Burrito Bro has also drafted the Zygarde, one of the main ground types to not run earthquake. So, taking the Zygarde out of contention means that the grassy terrain is going to be even more helpful. And it's also nice to weaken that earthquake against the Mega Diancie as well. Now, I know last time, with regards to the last team, we talked a lot about the Fire, Water, Grass, and Fairy Dragon Steel Core.
Hmm.
And just briefly looking at this one, we see the Gastrodon Heatran Tapu Bulu, which is very, very nice, with the Gastrodon's grass weakness being covered by both other members of this core.
Definitely. Like,
But the. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say the bulkiness of the Heatran was definitely going to help that Gastrodon with the grass types.
The only thing is that Gastrodon can be a rather passive mon. There's a reason why it's T4 worth only 80 points. So in matchups where the Bulu and the Heatran, of course, remembering that Bulu also gets Leech Seed and Synthesis, despite both Bulu and Heatran having very high attacking stats, they can both play very good defensive roles.
Hmm.
Um, But if they're coming in a more offensive role, there's also that nice Torrent Greninja available, which also sets hazards. Greninja
Spikes,
in
T
this league is always
spikes,
a popular pick.
definitely. Greninja with the again spikes, T spikes. Even if it doesn't
U-turn,
have protein or battle bond, just with its that and its speed of 122,
it's
it's
like
always a good pick.
its attacking stats might not be the highest, but its coverage is ridiculous. Now, just a brief glance at the Fairy Dragon Steel Core. It's rather interesting in that either the the dragon, of course, is the Zygarde, but then the fairy steel parts, Diancie Mega is a fairy, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like Bulu more often will be pigeonholed into the role that fairies normally have, which, of
Blocking
course,
dragons.
not having a good physical fairy stab and a base 75 special attack means it. Oh, it's base 85. It's a little better than I thought, but still not great. It's the equivalent of running, offensive wheezing. Is probably not going to be a true Dragon Slayer, so Diancie may have to do that. Now, of course, when you have
Well,
Heat Train as well, and the grassy terrain is up, most dragons, I don't know how much they're actually doing to you.
yeah, but also with Dancing Mega being 110 base speed and 160 special attack, I think he's pretty well guarded against drags, at least offensively.
hmm hmm Of course, the only thing to remember is if a Fairy Dragon Steel or Firewater Grass Core comes, that leaves two open slots every week because Heatran and Bulu both have to do double duty with respect to those cores. But
Yeah.
you can make that work. It's not impossible to make that work. And then rounding out the team, we have the very bulky Cress,
Ooh, bulky
making
psychic types.
very bulky psychic types are very good. But Cress also has Lunar Dance, of course, so I think that works well. What I do notice about this is the lack of any mon between 86 and 109 base speed, which means 90 base speeds, 100 base speeds, 110 base speeds.
Oh wow, you're right. So his team is either very slow or very fast. Well, not very slow, but
And then
medium.
there's a Bulu and Heatran in the middle. Max speed crest is not a thing. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be its draft format, but I doubt it's a thing. I do like the Swallow and the Zygarde. It seems to pair well in that a lot of these mons are either good at killing steals or breaking down steals. So really, the game plan I imagine a lot of the time is figure out what is going to block the main win con and use that to take them down, right? So if the plan is to sweep with a Zygarde sweep, then the regular things that take on Zygarde, fairies and such, are going to need to be handled by stuff like the Greninja, the Heatran, which probably fairies are not coming in on. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
The Girder, I don't think Girder is really going to be dealing with fairies a lot of the time, but you can make this work.
The,
Just looking at hazards briefly, there's only one rock setter or two rock setters on this team.
that being a Zygarde and Heatran.
Heatran and Diancie actually, Zygarde and Gastro for that matter, don't get rocks.
Wait, really?
Now they no, they don't.
Huh. Could have sworn.
And now, as for removal, Avalugg is not terrible removal. It's slow and doesn't hit super hard, even with that base 117 attack, because it's just super slow. But that physical defense is nothing to scoff at. It gets spin. Diancie has magic bounce and then swallow. So removal isn't the strongest here, but
It's very
between the
opposite to the previous
Greninja,
team.
between the Greninja and one of the other two mons likely having rocks, and Kofigrigus also gets toxic spikes for what that's worth. You know, not exactly a strong hazard game, but it does have Bulutran.
And that's always a good core.
It's quite a formidable one, even if we have friends who meme on it all the time.
You
Uh,
see, it's because the secret is that you have to have got to add the secret ingredient of Halucha, Bulutran Lucha.
Perfect. Combine all of them. Moving on to the next team, we have
Chicago Chikorritas with Alex the Spaz 26.
so this is Alex's team, and before we even talk about anything on this team, I just want to point out there is a Haunter here
Oh my God,
from the
Haunter.
newly formed Tier 20, and
Honestly,
I look forward to seeing what that thing can do.
honestly, I really like the addition to Tier 20 of Tier 20. Really allows us more flexibility with choices.
With draft choices. Unfortunately, almost everything in Tier 20 is absolute unrepentable garbage.
Except Illumise. Illumise is amazing.
We really like Illumise. I just like to point out that there are some decent stuff in there, but like let's be honest, Girafarig, Glalie,
Hey,
Ferret,
you know that
Gumshoes,
Layla can do a scarf spike explosion. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, go boom. But all those mons I just listed, they're all trash. Can you make them
definitely.
work? Sure. Are they worth making work?
No.
Absolutely not. I mean, if you only have 20 points, you may as well pick up a Jokemon if you can, right? So, Sai,
Definitely.
what would you like to say about this team?
Hmm. Well, I like that it has a Jirachi. I've always been wanting to use one, but it never seems to reach me. That good old Serene Grace with Iron Head.
Having had
Ooh.
Jirachi last season, it can do a lot of stuff. Now, I always had it as, one of my more bulky mons, because my team didn't exactly have the greatest synergy, and Jirachi was usually relegated to being my bulky mon on the team. But it can do an awful lot with that well-rounded 100 stats across the board, but also has a bulky psychic, a bulky steel, a wish passer,
Many uses.
a choice pull, healing wish. It's a very, very good mon. Just following off from that, to round out the Fair Dragon Steel core, there is a Komo and an Alola Ninetales. And Komo as a Dragon Dancer or a sub Belly Drum set, really likes the Aurora Veil that brings.
And you know what else Como likes? Open Z.
Very much so, because then it can actually do attacks. However, you must remember, Clangorous Soul Blaze is banned because it's Omni Boost.
Yep, and all Omniboost is banned.
Now, but of course, Close Combat, Z Outrage, Z Poison Jab if it needs to take on fairies are pretty good, especially after a Dragon Dance. Don't use it on the
And
Belly Drum set, please.
oh, no, don't listen to Gry. Use the belly drum set. It will win you
No, no,
many,
don't use Z
many
on the Belly Drum
matches.
set. The
It's
Z on the Belly Drum set makes no sense. You need Salic Berry.
oh, so the other thing I do like, especially with Como being there, being a setup mon, is the Alola Ninetales bringing in the Aurora Veil.
That's what we were just saying. Now, the only thing is, really, Como and potentially CM Jirachi seem like, or DD Mega Gyarados, seem like the only real setup sweepers here, which is normally what
Well,
Veil is used.
Gyarados is there. He's right there.
Yeah, of course, the Gyarados cannot hold a Z Crystal.
It's a shame. Z-bound Gyarados, best Gyarados.
We love Gyarados. Just looking over the rest, we have the league mascot here. I mean, technically, the league's logo has a Tapu Koko on it, but we all know that the mascot is Seismitoad. Thank you, George. George did that. So
Best
we have the
Toad.
Empower, Seismitoad, Rotom Mow, which is a Firewater Grass core that's fairly bulky and hits decently hard, but has no good recovery.
Yeah,
Not that there's anything
Rotom
wrong
has
with that.
to Rotom has to rely on the pain split.
One thing that I do want to note here is the speed tiers are rather interesting in that they're very congested,
Hmm.
and then there's an Aerodactyl.
Uh, oh wow. I did not realize that base Aerodactyl speed was 130. I thought it just got a super speed boost when it megaed.
No, it's a very fast boy. So really, Rachi and Ninetales and Arrow are the truly fast mons on this team. Otherwise, the next fastest mon is it's Haunter. Incredible.
95.
This team definitely has potential though.
Hey, at least the Hunter has levitate. It can slip shin
Unlike
on
its the Hawk
something.
brethren. And base 115 special attack is of course higher than Jirachi.
Yeah. I'm
In fact,
sure.
that's the highest special attack on this team is Haunter.
No. Oh wow, it is. Huh. See, this Hunter boy is gonna
We're rooting for Haunter here.
Yes.
Haunter's a good
Sp-
mon.
spooky boy.
And just because we didn't touch on it, the grounded poison in Nidoqueen is always a nice.
And Nidoqueen, like the saying goes, slays. With sheer force, life orb. Oof.
And of course, it also has higher defenses than Nidoking does, so it can run defensive sets better as well.
Yeah,
It's
like
good mon.
Black Sludge.
I'm a fan.
Same.
For the fourth team, we are looking at frequent runner-up Astoria, whose team, whose overall record last season was very, very good. Unfortunately, it was
11
yet another
points.
loss in the finals.
I
So,
mean, is it really SSBL if Astoria doesn't lose that second place?
is it really SSBL of Astoria doesn't make it to the finals? So, first thing I want to point out about this team is that Astoria still had points left over at the end of the draft, like a significant number.
Wait, what? How much?
Um, I'm unsure what Astoria's final pick was, but Astoria went into the final round with 20 points left over in his draft budget, or with 200 points left over in his draft budget. So I think his final one may have been Tornadus Incarnate, which still leaves another 20 points on the table. Which is
Well,
it's only 20, it's not a big deal, but it's just rather awkward, especially
20
looking at this.
points. 20 points
Like
left.
20 is not a big deal, but again, really Tornadus is the only Thunderous, sorry, is the only true powerhouse on this team. Because then there's also the Megazard, but aside from that, there's Azolf, Snorlax, Klefki,
Yeah, this team feels,
Jank.
yeah. I'm
Like
sure.
I know Astoria will use it well. It's Astoria
Yes.
we're talking about. On the other hand, if one of us were to pilot this team,
Yeah,
I don't
we.
think it would go well.
I would get destroyed with this team. I would not know how to
Like
use it. Actually, well, I mean,
honest,
Snorlax. Snorlax basically plays like a Suicune, right? Like a Crocoon.
we know you can use that. Yeah, except it's curse recycle.
Oh, just like a
Oh, you get
Mokalola.
yes, you get two attacking moves on this one, unlike with Coon. We'll get to Coon a little later. So just looking at this team, Firewater Grass is Breloom, Zard X, Tentacruel, or Quagsire, which is a little all over the place. It's not bad by any means, but Breloom isn't exactly the bulkiest Mon. Does have nice recovery though, and then Zard and the other two water types are pretty darn good. And Fairy Dragon Steel is, I'm pretty sure Klefki's doing double duty,
Like the person that we talk to always says, Klefki isn't really a defensive steel.
or Defensive Fairy.
Yeah, is here to use Prankster and get out of there.
Honestly, I think this team is really going to be liking Klefki for its spike support, its T-Wave support, and its screens support.
And
I
and definitely a support mon is always welcome. And Klefki is one of the
actually
best.
This team is. Oh, it certainly is. This team is actually interesting in that Thunderous also comes with Prankster T-Wave, and Azolf is very fast and notorious for its suicide lead sets, whether it's setting up screens or rocks.
And then just focus sash explosion.
Precisely. So it it feels a little weird in that there's a lot of screens set up. In fact, a surprising amount of mons that would normally run screens or T-Wave, but then the team itself isn't the fastest. Like the speeds aren't terrible,
So
but like
what I'm guessing the
Azalf and
theme.
Thunderous are probably going to more often be used as sweepers than support mons.
No, I think what the theme's more likely going to be is to set up the screens and stuff, so that the slower mons can actually get moves in.
The thing is about that though is that Breloom is really the only slow mon that can, and Lax.
Snorlax.
Yeah, and Lax likes to set up. It's
Yeah.
bulky enough it can naturally set up, especially because Curse provides the defense boost.
And imagine a curse with light screen.
Yeah, that would be one very bulky boy. And reminder, it also gets like if it's not running Gluttony, it can also run
Thick.
Immunity or
Yeah.
Rest to get rid of the potential for being toxic.
Yeah, and then he just becomes Corlax.
Yeah, you can just run Krolax. And Zardex is just a fantastic.
Yeah,
And behind screens, it's just phenomenal. It's such a good
Zardex
mon.
just gets in there, kills a bunch of things. Might die, might not, but it'll certainly at least kill one thing.
It,
Unless you're our buddy Jared, and then it just dies when you try to Dragon Dance against a ground type.
oh, I was more thinking of when he got locked into Outrage and got killed by Fear Rattata. Truly, truly a god amongst men.
Truly.
So I'm not a fan of Astoria's draft overall. I think that's fair.
But I can see it work.
Nice hazards though.
Definitely. And nice hazard removal. Rapid spin,
Actually, the
defog,
the
prankster
removal's really good
defog.
here. Prankster defog on two Mons plus the Tentacruel and the Gligar and the Charizard. Don't run defog on Charizard, obviously, but
Hmm.
like, there's options here.
Definitely. And Gligar with Eviolite,
I'm a
very
fan.
good. Didn't someone once wall a Kyurem with a Gligar? Because it
I
didn't.
did, in fact, wall an iced Stablis Kyurem Black with the Gligar in one of the weirdest matches I've ever played.
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
oh,
that's
look
me.
who it is. Uh, One more thing, quick
Ten
thing
out.
about Astoria's team is that Astoria has not chosen a status Z user. I don't know who it will be, but he has not yet chosen one.
All right. So here's the Dawnbreaker Luchas with yours truly, and I'm gonna be very objective and without any bias, and I have to say that this team is perfect, 10 out of 10. Um,
Beautiful. Well,
no
of course,
bias
we
at
see the
all.
Piloswine. We see the Piloswine.
The Palatine is powerful. Look at it. It just exudes power. Just look at it.
Alex's name on Shota may be Meganium is Bay, but I believe this team is more aptly called Piloswine is Bay. So, I'll be honest, during the draft, I thought this team looked really weird. The Volcarona did not sit well with me at all with the rest of the Mons going around it. But Starmie is a pretty good spinner, and that's on top of the defog in Empoleon, Stilvali, Comfey, and spin or defog from Cryogonal. So I think the Volcarona is supported surprisingly well.
Yeah, definitely.
Compound that's a bad pun because of Compound Eyes, with Galvantula's Sticky Webs, which also allows the Zygarde and the Gallade more freedom to break, and also the fact that if you really want to, Sai, you could run Defiant Empoleon to scare away defoggers.
That is true.
Base 86 attack isn't awful. It's
Oh,
higher than Bulu's special attack.
it is,
Barely, but it is.
and hey, and that'll be double because hey, it's a Defiance a times 2 boost.
Yeah, just,
Yeah, I could actually,
it's
and since
pretty
it's
good.
open Z, I could just run, I don't know, like Z Flyanium Z, and then
Z Steel Wing.
Z Steel Wing, switching on the knockoff. Knockoff does nothing. Get Defiant. Oh wait, no, Defiant is not. That's
You'd
not
only get
Defiant.
Defiant if you switched it on defog. You're thinking
Yes,
justified.
yes, I'm thinking Justified.
So I don't think I actually need to say much about this team because like Empoleon, Zygarde, Comfey is not bad. Um,
Let's have
Starmie
Savali.
Chestnut, Starmie Chestnut, Volcarona is a very interesting core, but like Spike's support plus spin plus Volcarona is pretty standard. But then there's also the I hate Comfey. There's the Piloswine. There's my other arch enemy, Cryogonal. There's the Mega Gallade that you've been wanting to use, and of course Silvally, which can literally do whatever you want. Base 95 stats across the board isn't great, but with a huge move pool and the
and
ability to be any type and switch into knockoffs fairly easily.
and Z Parting Shot.
And Z Parting Shot. I know at first you made Chesnaught for that Z Belly Drum set, and then I pointed out Z Parting Shot, and you're like, yes, please.
I
It's
wanted
pretty
to
good.
meme, but sometimes utility is better than
It's a
memes.
good move, and it wouldn't surprise me if you never bring Z Parting Shot, but having the option is better than having the option for Z Belly Drum
Hey,
Chesnaught, I think.
also, quick question: does Z Parting Shot heal before or after entry hazards?
Before.
Ah,
So the Mon comes in, heals up to 100. So let's say your Volcarona is at 48%,
yeah.
and Still Volley doesn't have defog. You can use Z Parting Shot, switch out, bring in the Volcarona, it gets healed up to 100, and then loses the 50%.
Hey, that's better than it dying.
Exactly. That's
But
why Z Parting Shot's a good move.
if it was after, then another tool attack it could have been is like I switch in Volcarona, takes the damage. Of course, it having more than 50% health, and then healing back to full.
That'd be pretty nice.
That would be pretty nice. But hey, both of the things have their uses.
hmm And I feel like this one's actually a little more useful. Also, Galvi isn't the strongest Mon, but it's pretty good. And this team is, aside from the Piloswine, a very fast team.
Other than like
Oh,
eh, other than whatever's below 95, everything's like speedy boys, but not too
of
fast, because 120
of
still
course,
outspeed me.
120 outspeeds the entire team, and base 90 underspeeds nearly the entire team. So speed tiers are a little off, but not. You'll outspeed a lot of stuff, but you got to watch out for those base 120s because
I'll be able to run modest and add them in more often.
yeah, unless you need to deal with other base 95s, and then
Yep,
all your Pokemon are going to basically have the same speed stat.
indeed. But never fear, Sticky Webs is here.
Yes, until they're defogged away
Hey,
and fully on time.
Empoleon, go!
Who's next? Shall we find out?
Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Now, speaking
Oh,
of
it's Starmie.
dragons,
It's the Charizards. They're not a real dragon.
Charizard X is, but they have Charizard Y in their logo.
So, I don't think I actually have much to say about this team. This is Rain, the team, featuring Tornadus T, Scissor, who loves the fire damage being dropped, Kingdra, Pelipper, Heliolisk, Kabutops, Poliwrath, and Mega.
Also, quick question: why does Swampert like if you just look closely at Swampert and Poliwrath, why do they have basically the same pose?
I never noticed that until they were right beside each other. So, with this team, you can almost guarantee Pelipper is coming every single week.
Every week.
And Celebi's not a bad grass type here. Is there a fairy?
No.
I don't see one. Be
Though
careful of dragon.
though I can see a non rain team that he can bring.
I mean, Tornado,
Tornado,
Scissor,
Scizor,
Celebi,
Celebi
Nidoking,
brings
T-Flame.
scopes choice scope. Kingdra,
Oh, yes,
obviously the choice
the
scope.
infamous choice scope.
Obviously, it's
Yeah,
a
no, I mean, Pert doesn't need rain because it's a pretty bulky mon in general. It can be run without rain, but like a lot of these mons just love having rain so much, and Pelipper is generally, your turn
it's a
defog,
it's a good mon.
powerful base 95 special attack with Stab Hurricane and Hydro Pump.
Stab accurate hurricane.
Yeah, precisely. It's a good mon. Heliolisk gets free thunders, Tornadus gets 100% accuracy hurricanes. Like, this team is optimized around rain, and well,
Does
Pelipper was picked later in the draft. It's everyone knew that Starwolf was going to take Pelipper.
does Nidoking get thunder? Because I know it gets thunderbolt.
I think it does. It'd be
Ooh,
weird if it doesn't. It might not,
if it
but
does, life orb thunder on
that
sheer
would hurt
force.
a lot of teams. Anyhow, outside of
Oh,
rain and inside of rain, this team has nice speeds actually. Very nice. Not bad. It's a little reliant on rain, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
because with Pelipper, he can just come in and out.
And here
Ooh,
we have the reigning champion.
Joel with the Havana Hunchcrows.
Not gonna lie, this is probably my favorite team.
It's got the monkey.
It's got Monkey. It's got a very nice Firewater Grass in Mega Blastoise, Shaman, Victini. It's got uh, it's got Bronzong and Haxorus, and then Coco who's doing duty as the fairy, and Coco can actually run D-Gleam viably.
Hmm. Oh,
Gliscor's
it's got better Celebi.
yes, it does have better Celebi. Not actually Celebi's the better mon. Um,
I
it
mean,
also has
Celebi's better Shaman.
fair. Um, it's got the Licky Licky, and it also has the mascot, so that's exciting.
Good old Honchkrow.
Looking at the speed stats, there's nothing over base 100 except Coco, so that's a little funky.
Yeah.
And a lot of the powerful mons are stuck between that 95, 97, 100 mark. Right, see Shaman, Victini, Haxorus, Gliscor. But the monkey is good. Love the monkey.
Monkey is always good.
It even has Defiant nowadays. Great mon. I assume Licky Licky will be used often to cast wishes into Bronzong
And
or Weezing,
explode. Fun fact,
and
Licky
it
Licky
it
can
can just boom.
explode. And that's one of the scariest mons to go boom.
I see 3 parts of hazard removal here. Uh, 4. Gliscor, Coco, Blastoise, and Honchkrow. It's not awful. As for rocks, Gliscor, Bronzong, and Licky Licky are all very good rocks setters in their own right, depending on what you want to bring with each
I
mon.
forget, does it Shaman get rocks?
A Shaman does not get rocks. It's Subseed.
Oh.
And Earth Power. That's probably what you're thinking of as Earth Power.
Yeah.
Licky Licky is a Wish Passage pretty good. Yeah, just watch out for anything between base 101 and 129, basically. Because you can just stick a Scarf on a base 100 mon, note speeds basically every Scarf mon on this team. Like, Victini is going to speed tie at best with a base 100 Scarfer.
And Coco? Probably not gonna run a scarf on Coco.
No, I mean, I've seen weirder. I've seen Scarf Crobat, but Coco was not Crobat. Is there anything else to say about this one?
No, it's a pretty concise, pretty well rounded team.
I'm a big fan. And he's actually already played the inaugural match of the season.
Yep.
I won't spoil the results of the battle if people haven't watched it, even though I assume everyone has. But he brought Adrenaline Orb Passimian. It's
It's
pretty cool.
pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I hope he brings it again, and I hope to see it in action.
Same. And here is the Long Island Lugias and Zooch, who took the Zera Aura that I wanted.
You and George.
Sniped. Anyhow, what stands out the most on this team is the dual of Violite user Type Nola and Dusclops. Those are Mons.
Those Armons. I just realized that Type Null just basically has the same base stats except for speed, which is 59. I
It
mean,
does. It's a very fat boy with a Violite.
must be hard to move around with a giant iron cage on your head.
What if it was literally just like an iron for pressing your clothes, though, on his head?
Oh
Like,
my
that'd be so
god.
funny.
Like,
Uh,
they've created this weapon to destroy Arceus, and it's dumb enough to be tricked by an iron on its head. It's like, I can't
Beautiful.
do nothing.
It's like a cat.
It is a cat. It's a bird cat. Fish.
So, just looking here, dual steel in Fortress Skarmory is an interesting choice.
Fortress has rapid spin and spikes. Doesn't it also
And
get stealth
Skarmory
rocks?
and Toxic Spikes.
Yeah. Fortress is the setup mon for entry
Yes,
hazards.
yes, it is. It's also the mon that you set up on.
Yep.
And then there's Skarm, which is another mon that you set up on, but can also run Swords Dance, so it
And
actually do
and
some damage.
whirlwind
But
or
the
haze.
problem with it doesn't get Haze.
Doesn't it get haze?
It gets Whirlwind.
Oh.
Kyurem, powerful mon, Zeraora, not as powerful, but it's pretty good. Those stats look lackluster, but that speed is phenomenal. And then Gardevoir is matching them. Also a mega, very underutilized in my opinion, but I'm a fan of that mon. Um,
It has one of the
and
best
looking
shinies.
and looking at the Firewater Grass Core, we see Virizion, Blastoise, and Salazzle.
I am a fan of Virizion. I've used it before.
It feels like it's trying to be a bulkier core, but it has basically no recovery. There's no wish support here. Or there is actually. Gardevoir gets wish, but base 68 HP means those wishes are small.
Virizion does get synthesis.
Yes, Salazzle gets no recovery, but
Nope.
Blastoise has 0 refresh here, so
Does that heal you
trust this.
fully?
It does as the status D move, so that's
Ah,
that's pretty cool. And then Crocodile. I like them on.
Good
I don't
old
know.
Nixon.
I don't think I particularly personally like this team. I do like the Crocodile though, because otherwise, ground Crocodile itself would kind of wreck this team.
No, and I know that Skarmory is a good mon, but honestly, I don't really like Skarmory.
I don't think Skarmory is a bad mon, but it needs a certain team archetype to match it. And honestly, the hazard stacking on this team combined with Crocodile, Zeraora, Kyurem, and Gardevoir is pretty darn nice.
Yeah, it lets it like what you call it take advantage of Whirlwind.
Yup. And then rack up some hazard damage, force some switches with Salazzle Crocodile, and then and Kyurem, because Kyurem just tears things apart. Z free shot can come whenever Zooch wants to bring it. And then,
Choice
of course,
band, just bam.
Zeraora and the base 100 speed Mega Gardevoir can just come in and clean up at the very end. Not bad. I like the game plan here, but I personally don't like using a lot of these Pokemon.
I like half of them. The other half haven't used, and the other half because things have three halves, obviously. I don't like.
Oh, next is Kyre, our founder with the Z Hypnosis circuitry,
Ooh,
and a Gourgeist Arcanine Milotic core.
and Mew and Salamence. Just recently dropped
Mm,
those two in another league.
I'm just looking at the Pharaoh Dragon Steel, and I'm seeing Steelix Slurpuff. So there's also webs here with the Zoroark, which is interesting. And Megalopony, which just that's a powerful mon.
Megalopony, fake out, return, high jump kick. Not even ghost types can save you.
I do actually. This is probably the bulkiest Fire Water Grass core, and actually a very very good one.
Yes, especially Intimidate Arcanine, Milotic.
Um, and then Gourgeist, which of course there's four different forms, so it's also a pretty good defensive thing with Leech Seed, Synthesis, Will-O-Wisp, even if that's only it. And then Golbat is unfortunately a flying poison, so it won't pick up the rocks or the T-spikes, but Defog and decent bulk with the Violet.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. And Ment is very happy with OpenZ.
Dude, Mance with just stick Z Fly on it, and it'll just take care of anything.
It does a lot. Having used it last season, it's pretty powerful. Basically a one-time nuke, especially after a Dragon Dance. Just looking at the speed stats, Megalopony salvages the speed tiers here.
Yes, because other than Lopunny, everything's sub 105.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As for removal on this team, there are three Pokemon with a very, very good removal. Well, two and then Salamence, which is weak to rocks, but it's also pretty good. And Hazards has Mew and Steelix and Webs on Slurpuff, and that's it. Not a lot of Hazards here. All right, just to make
Yeah.
sure I didn't miss any. Uh, Hazards is just the three, yes.
And the only one that really wants to run them is the Steelix, right?
I mean, Mew can run rocks if it's a defensive Mew. Will-O-Wisp, uh, yeah, Will-O-Wisp, Psychic Ice Beam. Mew has a lot of options. It's good Mon. Makes sense as a first round pick because it can also be used to hardwall a lot of stuff. Like it basically just craps all over Zygarde 50%.
Yeah, it does. But you know what's good against the Mew?
Knockoff.
Yes. Also Volcarona. So the next
Alright.
team that we have is
Uh, Neff, our regular substitute.
hey, this time he's not substituting.
No, this time I think Burdito is our delegated substitute. As you can see, he has no records from the previous season. Seasons 1 and 2, of course, not being done on this website. So, first thing I want to point out is he made a very inspired pick with the Frogadier
I
from
do
tier 2 weak.
too weak. But hey, don't sleep on the Frogadier. Like, It has all the hazard setting that Greninja gets
It
with
just
none of the
sucks.
price. It's there to
97 speed's pretty good though.
it's in there to set up and die.
Yet another team where base 120 outspeeds everything, but this team is a little slower, so the Mons in the middle of the pack can actually speed tier properly as well. And just looking at this, I see a Florges to go with the Steela Garchomp core, which is pretty darn nice. The Mandibuzz is very bulky, the Slowbro is very bulky, the Cradilly is very bulky. This is a very fat team. Roserade, Entei, for Z Sunny Day, I assume, with the status Z move.
Mm-hmm.
The Mega Steelix stands out as interesting to me because it gives the plus 60 points, which allows for the Garchomp Celesteela core up at the top, but at the same time, it doesn't really seem to mesh with anything because you have this Steela already. I guess there's no ground type on this team without it. But it's not like it has
Yeah.
sand support either, and I think if there were some sand support on this team, Garchomp, Cradilly, Steelix all like the sand support, but I don't know where like a Gigalith would go really.
Yeah, because Hippopotas was taken by another team, right?
You mean
Hippodon.
Hippowdon,
Yeah,
right?
that one.
Because I mean, you could get Hippopotas for 20 points, but like that one is utter garbage.
It's literally just there to set up sand.
Yeah, don't take Hippopotas like ever. I genuinely think that mon is not even worth 20 points. That's how bad it is.
Would you take
And
it if
now I
it
see
gave?
this.
Would you take it if it gave you 20 points?
You know what? Probably not because it's still a waste of a spot on my team. Maybe you just draft 10 good mons. It's no different than having a Ferd on your team at that point. Honestly, I don't think I have a lot to say about this team because I really like a lot of how it looked. It's really like the bottom 3 or 4 mons that I question strongly. But the top of this teams are top heavy, and the top half is a very good.
it,
Very the dual
it
dark, no electric.
it'll definitely carry its weight.
It should at the very least.
I mean, with Celesteela being the best grass steel, right?
It's certainly the best grass steel.
Definitely.
That's another thing is that Manabuzz and Florges both get hazard removal. So this team isn't obviously going to be too reliant on hazards. Actually, there's 2 toxic spike setters, and 3 rock setters. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot
Lots
of
of
spikes.
options for hazards.
I mean, that's a lot of yeah, entry hazards.
And then 2 options for removal isn't bad. There's no electric type, but and that Sneasel speed tier is basically the saving grace of this team's speed tiers.
Yeah, I've used Sneasel before. I like it. It's good.
Sneasel seems like a good mon, but like Totemi Celesteela could very likely be a common set here, unless Neff plans on playing the long game every time. Because, like I
I,
said, this team's kind of not exactly all that fast.
I mean, looking at like Slowbro, Mandibuzz, Florges, Cradily, Neff it's really set for the long game. So whenever you fight Neff, it's gonna be a long match.
Be ready, because
Bring
even the offense on
snacks.
this team, there's only going to be 3 or 4 mons that are genuinely running offense every time, and everything else is going to be some form of defense.
Bring lots of snacks to
Steal a
school.
Chomper, Entei, and Roserade, and then maybe Sneasel are the only truly offensive mons here. It's an interesting team, well put together. I like the defensive cores, and we'll see how well it does
Indeed.
for our what is this? The 11th team. Uh, it's a new player, Rogan Bogin. Anyhow,
Sorry.
new player for the season is has an interesting team here with first thing that stands out, Firewater Grass Core is Serena Primarina and no fire type, which is Gen 7 the core.
Oh, yeah,
Need more Alola Walk.
this is my week one opponent.
Oh, nice. We haven't built yet at the time of recording. There is Primarina's doing double duty with Mega Mawile for Fairy Dragon Steel, teaming up with Dragonite. There's also Keldeo, so maybe it's not doing double duty because Keldeo is the water type, really. And then Dougie, which is going to trap steel types.
Yep. Or really anything that's grounded, and then
Yeah,
just Groundium Z them to death.
I like the Z on the Uxie, actually. That's a good place to put the, it was either Uxie or Persian, I think, on this team is the
Doesn't
best place for it.
What is? Looks like it's Memento, right?
It does.
What does the Memento do?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe it functions as Memento plus Healing Wish. I'm not sure, but
Maybe.
Memento's pretty good. Also, Trick Room, I think also gets Heal Bell, so the Heal Bell could be used for 100% heal at one point. Uh,
Yeah, restores replacement HP.
yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Yeah. Regen on Audino's kind of nice. Audino's not a great mon otherwise. And Rotom's not
Also,
bad. I like the
Serena
speeds
is
on this team.
great. Serena Williams. That grass
Best tennis
type has
player.
saved me so many times with do not sleep on its play roughs, on its high jump kicks, on assault vest set.
Serena has a weirdly like high attack stat and a weirdly viable physical move pool. And base 72 is such a troll speed.
She
I
is
like this
the
team
queen.
because there's a lot of fast stuff on this team. So this team seems very well-rounded.
And
Don't know how I feel about the lack of a fire, but honestly, fire
and
is
any
more offensive than defensive anyways.
and anything that's slow hits hard. Other
Yeah,
than Ogno.
looking at you particularly, Primarina and Mega Mawile, which is such a good Maw. There is no switch-ins.
Both of them are. Something's gonna get in and get hurt.
Keldeo stabs often leave a little to be desired, but like, since you can run the Z on that, or Nef can run the Z, or sorry, this is Rogan Bogan's team. The Z on Keldeo or Dragonite or Primarina or Doug Trio is a lot of viable Zmons. It's pretty nice. Shall we move on?
Definitely. Let's go ahead.
Oh, it's me.
Hey, it's you. So here,
So,
go ahead.
my team's rather interesting in that I almost took the Entei. I think the first thing that's going to stand out to everybody looking at this is why are there two grass fire types? Um, Basically, after I play my week one match, I'm going to decide which one I'm ditching for a fire type. Trades don't go into effect until week two, anyways, so anything I do now won't be in place until the week after, regardless. So I may as well see which one I like and which one I don't like.
All I have to say is
It's
Strength
probably going to be
Stat
Amoonguss.
Vileplume is amazing.
But Amoonguss has Regenerator, which is also very nice. It's
Indeed.
also weaker though, so there's that. And then Suicune plus Raikou. I took the Tyranitar because I realized that I needed a Steel type, and Driller was my preferred Steel type that was left over. And I already had Tyranitar, so I'm like, hey, that works. I took the Tyranitar actually because bulky Psychic types are some of the best switch-ins to Mega Medicham or Ghost types. And I said, oh, but what if I kill those? So Tyranitar, Mega Medicham were my first two picks, and I'm very happy with that. And then Suicune because I keep wanting to use it and never get a chance. And Zeraora was taken from me, so Raikou appeared on my team. And then just webs, plus a couple other mons I'm interested in. And I honestly thought Aurora's was the best tier 20 mon, so I had to take it. Excadrill has the Z option for Z Sandstorm, and my speed tiers are kind of all over the place, but relatively balanced. There's nothing between. Oh, there is a base 100 Mega Medicham, so yeah, I think I reasonably covered my speed tiers. And then I have hazards, and I have not a lot of removal, but I have a couple options in Rabombi and Excadrill, so there's that. I'd probably rather a spinner, but like a second spinner or something. But Excadrill's pretty good, and honestly, I'll probably just be going for webs a lot of the time because where are my other hazards?
Hmm.
This is unusual. Normally, I take a lot more hazard mons,
Yes, you like usually are the hazard master.
and if I'm not the hazard master, I have like six Pokemon that learn Defog.
And hey, there's another thing that this team has that's usually a Gry special. You're
An
not
ice
as
weakness?
yeah. How'd you
It
know?
doesn't have because that's my thing. All my drafts need to be very weak to ice. Why do you think I always take Piloswine? It's an ice resist and immunity bolt. It's pretty good. It's a good mon. So yeah, I don't think I actually have much to say about my team because like fire, water, grass is Coon, one of the grass types, and non-existent. And soon. And Fair Dragon Steel is not exactly the bulkiest, which means this team is going to be played relatively offensively. Plus Suicune. And look at
Suicune.
my
Oy.
look at my terrible record that got me into playoffs. Good job, me. I know, I'm really excited to see some of the Season 2 stats that show up here. The next team is Sir Jorge the Great, or also known as Falling
Hey,
Pork, and he made the most important draft of the entire draft, and he took his mascot.
Zakarillo, the final pick of the season.
It was very beautiful. And with the Incineroar, Tangrowth, and Toxapex, that's a pretty darn good core. And then, of course, the Fairy Dragon Steel has the Kartana and the Altaria Mega,
And
but also the Executor. The Minior pick, I think, was interesting.
we've seen Minior sweep a team before, so
I've seen Minior do work. I like the Gengar. The Gengar is like, and Kartana are the only fast mons on this team. And then Donphan's a good remover. Evire is a thing. I don't like him on top. I think him on top is terrible, but it has rapid spin.
hey, but look at him. He's dancing there. He's dancing.
He's dancing, but he's not good.
True.
Just looking at the rest, actually having those options in removal is very nice for the Minior and the Incineroar. Honestly, I think Kartana is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting on this team. It's a very defensive team, and the Fire Water Grass core is probably showing up almost every battle. It's that good.
Yeah, especially with Regenerator on both Tangrowth and Toxapex.
Yes. So, good
Uh,
job, Sir Jorge.
Jorge's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I hope you pilot it well, so you can redeem yourself after this.
Don't worry,
And your Alolan
I was pretty similar, Jorge.
Eggy cosplay. Eggy is proud to be with you yet again. And here we have George himself with
The George
uh,
with
so
that
first of
record for
all,
season 3.
yeah, that's stellar.
10, 10, 3, 33.
The differential is insane. I would just like to point out that this is literally a team I would draw.
Oh
So
yeah,
I think this is my favorite team of them all, for obvious reasons, because I'd draft it, but I hate the Swadloon.
the Mad Lad took us Wild Loon.
It has webs though, so I get it.
The Mad Lad Swad
He also has a Stunfisk, which is a beautiful pick for no other reason than it's a Stunfisk.
also has Memento, right?
I think so. I know the Skuntank gets Z Memento. I think it does at least.
Yes, that's what I was saying. The Skuntank.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Stunfisk.
Oh no, no.
No, the Skuntank, and that's obviously why it has the Z option there. And then Alamamala has the regen plus Wish, as well as the Sylveon's Wish. So the Zapdos Superior Infernape core is, ooh, that's so good.
And Zapdos there with its bulky physical defensiveness and its
So like
special attackness and
Fire,
basically
Water,
everything.
Grass, Infernape Superior Alamamala, Fairy Dragonsteel, Mega Latios, Sylveon, Stakataka. Stakataka's not great, but it's not terrible. And the other Mons are all so good. And then Hazard stack with the Excelgor. This is a really good team.
It's pretty good. I honestly, it's give it to George.
And
He
then
he'd always
and then there's a Swallow. And honestly, I'd expect George to make playoffs, if not finals. Again, but it's because he's George. George is just great. Defog is on one, two, three, four Mons. No spinner is interesting though.
it's got Sack Attacker though. Don't need no
Yeah.
spinners when you have a wall.
The only reason no spin is interesting is that this team is very heavy on hazard stat with the Excelgor, so I suppose defog often won't come if there's an Excelgor. Like, and there's also webs, right? So it's interesting. And the speeds are literally all over the place. They range from 13 to 145. So that's fun. This team will be a real pain to prep for.
Yes, those speed tiers
Here we have Polite Dino. He from last season.
with the Virginia
Oh,
Venomats.
did Dino not play last season? He has no record. I suppose he did not play last season.
Huh?
I
I
thought you
could have sworn
did.
he did.
And I'm looking at this team and I'm seeing the Lando with the Feeny and the Megazet, and that is power.
That is in the Komala. Can't forget the
More
Komala.
importantly, I am seeing the Registeel Dragalge to go with the Feeny.
And the Umbreon.
and the Umbreon, and that's the Wish Passer to all three of these Mons that are very bulky but have no recovery. Very, very well put together.
Though one thing I don't like is the guts with the Feeny.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised, but like Scarf Moxie, I suppose, is also a thing.
Indeed.
And then Lando is, well, it's Lando. It's a very good Mon. And Kamal is very fun, and Zam, just poke holes, destroy, blast holes with Psychic.
This is a very straightforward draft. I really like it.
Me too.
I
It's,
won't. I'm not gonna like to play against it. Like this is a
there's,
wall to. This is a wall that stands high.
yeah, there might not be a stack attack on this team, but the walls here, with the help of Umbreon, like Rotom Heat as well, also has no recovery, loves getting the wishes pass.
Hmm.
And then the Misty Terrain preventing a lot of these mons from being statused is fantastic. Again, the Heracross with the guts seems interesting with the Feeny, but we'll see if it works out.
Hopefully it
Also,
will.
also Frostlass plus Komala is spike stacking, and then T spikes on the Dragalge, and then Komala has Rapid Spin, so that's pretty nice too. Numerous options in Defog with the Feeny, the Rotom, the Lando, and then obviously Komala with Spin. Not bad. And then Zam is so fast that you're going to mandate a fast Scarfer
Or
or a very
webs.
bulky Psychic type. Probably both.
Or a good dark type.
I believe this is one of the final teams we will be looking at. And here is Andy's team. He took over in the during the season last time near the end. So his stats here may have actually been repurposed from that as a sub. Now this team is rather interesting. First thing that stands out is the dual water, no grass, but also there's an electrode. Uh, Pharaoh Dragon Steel is Megalodius, Clefable, Bisharp, and that's really good.
I like Araquanid. Araquanid is always a good mon. It's a very good bulky sticky webs setter and a hard hitter with water bubble liquidation.
And then the webs are nice with the Staraptor and the Bisharp and the Tornadus. So that's pretty good. This team has a very nice defensive core, and then Darm
Also,
is just very
it's
powerful.
got that
It's pretty good.
tailwind prankster tailwind.
And then Electrode is an Electrode, but
Ooh,
it comes with T-Wave and screen support, so it's not terrible.
and Ladder
Hitmonchan has
Spin.
Rapid Spin, which is very nice to prevent the defog. Actually, there's a couple good defoggers on this team as well, and then Mesprit
And
is very good at the general utility. Plus
also,
Memento
and we have Bisharp here with Defiance, so he can switch in on the defoggers.
and the sticky webs.
Yep.
So yeah, if Anti hasn't made his status Z selection yet, I think it should go to Mesprit probably, with the Z Memento being very nice. I'm not sure what other mons would even particularly use the status Z move, like Z Rain Dance Tornadus or something like that.
That could work.
That doesn't seem very good though.
What
I
about
think Z
Z
Refresh Swampert could be a thing.
Z
Z
Rain Dance Araquanid?
no, Z Stockpile or Aquanid, which fully heals you and then buffs your defenses, and then you run Rest with it and Sleep Talk,
Oh,
Liquidation, and you just smack stuff with super high defensive stats.
Croquid.
Basically, except Stockpile. It doesn't even increase your damage output, and
You
no lefties. Can't be knocked off though. Anyhow, that set's really cool, and this team is kind of neat. I
also
don't like using Clefable, but I like Clefable on this team.
Clefable's pretty
I
good.
like Clefable with the Latias Mega.
That's bulk.
That's fat.
Look at those defenses. 150, 1 and 120,
So high.
and then Clefable with that 95 HP, and with Unaware and Magic Guard.
I'm just looking at Mesprit's defensive stats of 80, 105, 105 as well, which is pretty nice. Pert, of course, is a good defensive mon as well. Araquanid is pretty bulky as well. Staraptor can be run bulky because it comes with Intimidate, and how this team is pretty nice. No grass type though stands out to me even now though.
Though, if there's one type that they can live
It's
out of fire, water,
probably
grass,
grass.
it's
It's
probably grass.
probably grass. Probably fire as well. There's not a lot of great fire types. There's better grass types, but like grass's coverage is so bad and has so many weaknesses.
A team always needs a bulky water.
Bulky waters are the best of the three for sure, and then Fairy Dragon Steel is all of those types are so good. So I don't know how many teams are left, but let's take a look at what's next.
Oh,
Oh, turns out that was the last one.
that was the last one, huh?
So with that, we are done. Thank you for listening to us.
Okay, so yep,
So
that looks like it's all of them. If we missed anybody somehow for some reason, well,
that sucks.
just yeah, it's pretty much sucks. We can just do a quick 5 minute video.
Yep. So I hope you all, whoever listened to this, enjoyed listening to us. I hope you didn't mind us talking on so long. And Size or anything else you'd like to.
All I can say is that this is gonna be a very fun season full of a lot of good battlers and a lot of
And
interesting sets.
and let's close out the generation with a good one. And with that, we're signing off.
Grind, grind, sigh, say bye.
Adios.